NADS, National Association of Resident Doctors, have decided that they are embarking on industrial action, a 7-day warning strike. This, of course, in solidarizing with a colleague of theirs, one Dr. Popoola of the National Eye Center in Kaduna, that was kidnapped 8 months ago, was kidnapped alongside his husband and her nephew. But sometime in March, the husband was released, but she and her nephew are still in the custody of the kidnappers. And being a resident doctors, injury to one, injury to all. So our colleagues are saying they are using this as a warning strike to the federal government to ensure and secure the release of one of their colleagues that has been in a captivity since 8 months ago.
Well, the first thing I want to say is that the healthcare delivery system on any country, the greatest single set of people that provide this are the resident doctors. When you go to a hospital, more often than not, particularly a secondary or tertiary medical facility, more often than not, the doctor you are seeing is a resident doctor. It is only if you have an ailment that is uncommon, that demands specialist attention, that you now go to the person classified as a consultant. Residency is a training position. You already have your MBBS, your bachelor's degree in medicine and surgery. You now want to specialize in a particular field, and you are now placed in open, what they call outpatient departments, where you are the first port of call in a hospital. So those doctors, in fact, there's even a kind of ratio, maybe a particular number of consultants to a particular number of resident doctors. And if you look at many teaching hospitals, one consultant probably has maybe 20 resident doctors in his, I think sometimes they call them syndicates, sometimes they call them crews. So that's the way it works. So they will do their outpatient work and they will do their specialization work. So for anybody to now discountenance the value of resident doctors in the medical value chain is a very serious mistake. And you cannot, the countries with the highest GDPs in the world, invariably, and the countries with the highest standards of living, invariably are those countries that have the highest standards of health. Switzerland, Sweden, Norway, Singapore. Irrespective of the arguments of the British public about what they have, let them come to Nigeria and know that what they have is a near paradise in terms of healthcare. So our resident doctors, I think they should get a greater priority. In the particular case of this Dr. Popoola of Kaduna, I am particularly personally touched because when I look at it, the eye hospital is at Mando. That's on the route to the airport to Lagos. Well, off the Zaria route. It's not in the middle of town. If doctors there can be kidnapped, whether on their way to work or in their houses or anywhere, in fact, it is the largest problem of insecurity that is now manifesting in a critical sector of the economy. The farmers that have been killed, only God knows their number. At a point in time in the Jerry Rice Bowl in Borno, Governor Babagana Zulum led the funeral prayer, Janaiza, for 42 corpses People of the community said more than 70 went to farm, but they were able to recover only
The
those
corpse of
42. I think that's the figure. These are things that on the social media our fact checkers can verify. So the doctors are a critical component of Nigeria, and they are not, I mean, they are under threat. So their colleagues, like you said, are responding with a threat to one is a threat to all. And to me, while the federal government may not see it that way, to a lot of Nigerians, enough is not being done to address this issue of security. And not enough is being done at all. I mean, in the last 1 year, the figures are not encouraging. They are not encouraging at all. And interestingly, the Minister of State for Defense comes from one of the most afflicted states, or one of the states most afflicted by insecurity. What is he doing? You have all that big office and you cannot protect your people. So you just wonder, why is it that way? Interestingly, the Chief of Army Staff is from Kaduna State, but he has been a Sokoto resident. So he knows Sokoto. So how do you have that kind of situation? You know? It's
I guess this happened sometime last week when they had a protest within the country. Those facilities.
No, it was even nationwide.
I mean inside
inside their respective
yes,
because
health facilities.
We know the doctors at UCH in Ibadan, they went on this demonstration. The doctors at Lasuth and Luth in Lagos. I don't know if there was any such in Ilorin, but I mean, that is it. Because you see, I am very happy with this action because the doctors in their own way are bringing attention to this issue that is really
But let's look at the implication of their action. I mean, we have a lot of sick people in the hospital who are receiving treatment at this particular point in time. And when you consider the ratio of resident doctors to consultants, who are about the only one that will be left to do the job now. I mean, it's one that the consultant cannot handle on their own. Sometimes, in order to repair something, you have to do damage. Sometimes. It's painful, but it's real. Unfortunately, this is not just damage, this is people's lives. But you see, at the end of the day, I believe public authorities are not displaying sufficient compassion. But the federal government did in the rescue of 20 medical students of University of Jos and Uche University who were traveling on...
It was in Benue.
Yeah,
yes.
Excursion. Just a few days they were...
for that particular one, I want to commend the police for that action and all other security agencies that have been involved in that successful release of those.
I mean, 20 of them.
Yes, no, I want to commend
them. Two were unable to get
you see,
Dr. Ganiat Popola and nephew.
There is let me call it a prophetic injunction that if you have 10 sheep and when you drive them back into your ruga, your settlement, and you discover that one of those 10 sheep is missing, it is recommended that you lock up the rest and go and look for that one. So the fact that they have been able to rescue the University of Jos medical students does not mean that they should leave Ganiya alone. So they should go and look for Ganiya or Dr. Ganiat Popola, that's her name. Yeah. Let them go and look for her.
That's according to the NAD's Secretary General, that yes, she's still very much alive, but of course he was not ready to give so much because he's still...
You see, one thing is sure, there is a serious challenge to the operations of our security system. Not the architecture. The architecture to me is perfect. But the operations. You see, like now, me now, okay, I'm a reporter. I put middle name in BVN. I didn't put middle name in name. They will cut off my line. Lines are registered so that the owners can be traced physically. Yet, kidnappers daily all over Nigeria, because kidnapping is one of the crimes that is common to all the geopolitical zones. They are kidnapping for ransom. And they are in contact with these kidnappers through a telephone system. And yet, all this registration, they cannot trace them. What are they doing? Today now, as I'm talking now, me in particular, my WhatsApp has been hacked. All the things that they say I should do, I have not been able to get it back from one of the service providers, GSM service providers. So, but I don't believe there's anything wrong with the GSM service. But in the operation, there are loopholes. So people are opening these loopholes to commit crime. And our cyber people, our telco people, the cyber security, telco security, have been unable to address these issues. So to me, something is wrong. Something is definitely wrong. The Kaduna kidnapping, following the railway attack, and the subsequent abduction of the passengers. Some of them died, including the Kwara State TUC chairman. Yet some people came out to defend them, to say that they were not looked after. Now, government has said they will create Ministry of Livestock Development. Those people have not yet said anything. I think it is about time that a special squad, inter-service, is created.
Inter-service?
Yes. And then you see, it's not possible for them to say that since we have been having this issue of growing insecurity, maybe 2009, that there have not been investigations and people have not been found liable. But how many have been tried? We had Evans, the big kidnapper, the billionaire kidnapper in Lagos. There are not too many outside that. And when you think of, and the Evans own was purely criminal, purely money-based. The ones that are going to schools, in Niger, I think we've had 2 occasions. In Katsina, I think we've had 2. These people are taking the nation back to the Stone Age. Already we have 13 million out of school. And then these schools are not secure. Then those that have even finished the school that are now practicing their various professions, like Dr. Ganiat Popola, are now under attack. So, to me, government is not paying sufficient attention to these challenges of security.
Okay.
And in any society, there are those that you call critical groups. School children, women.
Vulnerable.
Then you have vulnerable groups, those that are physically challenged. So we really need to address these issues of insecurity. And when I see the beggar and destitute invasion in places like Ilorin, with many of these beggars and destitutes having children, some of them even divorcing and marrying and remarrying, and the boom in population. At a point in time when you wanted to see destitutes in Ilorin, you had to go to a particular area in town. Now, even my suburban Osin, you now can see colonies of beggars and scavengers, although the Kwara State government
they are there everywhere. They are there, I mean, go to Tanke, they are there.
Exactly.
Songo,
exactly.
Everywhere.
So, these are people that should be in school, but they are not in school. So by the time they grow older, in their 20s, for instance, late teens, they now begin to question their own existence. That this one is person like me. How is it different from me? If you cut him, his blood will show red, not blue or green or yellow. So in order to now meet the challenge of rising aspirations, he has no choice other than to resort to criminality. And the result of the criminality is what we are seeing. And now, it really is not coming down. One president before yesterday said that Boko Haram has been defeated technically. If that person have two heads, let him fly to Maiduguri. They are all flying now, the big men, they don't enter motor again. Let him fly to Maiduguri and drive to Mongono alone. If that person have two heads, even the former NSA, his name is Mongono, he's from Mongono. When was the last, has his family even ever been to Mongono? So there is a strong element of nonchalance, for want of a better word, among the senior operators of the security system. I'm not necessarily talking of chiefs.
Is it nonchalance or overwhelmed?
I don't believe anybody can overwhelm the Nigerian security forces within the territorial space of Nigeria. I don't believe it, Jide.